What the is up, guy? Oh, no, we're not swearing, actually. Hello, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name is Ruth. I am a millennial living in Calgary, Alberta, and I share my financial journey online. So if personal finance and the millennial struggle is something you relate to, then feel free to subscribe. Today we're going to be doing my November financial reset, and I am so freaking excited. It's only my second financial reset ever, and it's going to be a good one, folks. So buckle up, get a warm bevy. I have got a piping hot chai tea latte. You can probably even see the steam. So get cozy and let's chat about our finances for November. I like to start off my reset videos by recapping the previous month, and I don't want to brag, folks, but a lot of things went well for me in October, like suspiciously well. When I did my October reset video, I set some goals. I wanted to keep my income above $6,000. That was the main goal for me with both my clinic job and my virtual private practice counseling on the side. I wanted to hustle a little bit harder. Within a week of setting a goal to advocate for myself more at work and to increase my income, I was given a raise at my clinic job, which kind of came a little bit out of the blue. I haven't even been there for 1 year, and I've done a lot of work, but I've never really asked for higher compensation. So that was obviously a big part of increasing my income. The other thing that happened too is that the first half of October was insane for private practice counseling. Like one of the weeks I had 7 meal plans to do, and normally I have like 2, maybe 3 to do per week. I made over $1,000 from virtual counseling just in the first 15 days, and that obviously also helped greatly in achieving over $6,000 income. That was a big goal for me, to keep my income high and to advocate for myself, and I can kind of check that off. So with my raise, my net take-home pay from the clinic was $4,650.98. For virtual private practice counseling, I'm not yet at the end of the month, so I haven't billed for that yet, but I projected what I will make based on the people who are booked in my schedule. I could obviously have some cancellations or more people added in, but this is an estimation. I'm expecting to make $1,692.90. I also made $350 from an article I wrote in September. It is published in iRun magazine, and it was in the race kits for the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. So if you were at that, or if you see an iRun magazine, check out your girl. I'll be in there with my muffin recipes. In total, for the month of October, I made $6,693.88. I also wanted to save $1,000 in October. I wanted to put most of it in my emergency fund. As you know, that's a priority for me to grow right now, but I also wanted to put a little bit towards our wedding savings, because our wedding's coming up in 2026, and it's not cheap, folks, even though we are literally having the smallest wedding known to mankind, aside from eloping, which would be my dream. Anyway, I digress. I ended up putting $1,000 towards my emergency fund. I also put $250 towards our joint wedding savings, so I'm feeling good about that. I also set 2 other more lifestyle intention related goals. One, I wanted to keep investing in our space, and we did that. We bought a full-length mirror from IKEA on sale, very happy with it. And we also got a new duvet and duvet set, because it's getting very chilly here in Calgary, and we needed that warmth. We did. We also bought some other bits and bobs for the apartment. We hosted people over here, so we bought candles, glassware, things like that. Overall, I'm feeling good about our progression with the apartment. And then lastly, I wanted to be more intentional with my eating out. And the ironic thing is, I reduced my expenses a lot. Like, I'll give myself credit. I went to the Circle K way less, went out for coffees with Joel, with friends. We went to 2 different restaurants. Like, we went to this new Italian place, and we also went for Afghani food, but Joel paid for both those, so they are not really reflected in my budget. All that to say, I definitely was more intentional with eating out, but I also didn't really have to assume that cost, so let's talk about my October expenses. So for those of you who didn't watch the first financial reset video, you wouldn't know, I guess, that I track all my expenses in the Monify app. So it's this free budget tracking app. I put all my income in there. I track all my expenses, and I usually do it in 2 big batches. So when I get my first paycheck, I'll track all my expenses up to that point. And then when I get my second paycheck, I'll track expenses for the rest of the month. I love this app because it gives me a really clear idea of what I spend in each category and also the percentage of my income that I spend in each area. So it's nice for that high level overview. Once I've tracked all my income and expenses and I have like my category totals in Monify, I translate them into my money tracker. This is something I started doing in September because I just wanted that like big overview summary of my finances. And then I wanted like a nice visual at the end of the year about how everything went. I purchased this budget tracker. I did not make it myself. I purchased it from Gabby Peterson. She's another YouTuber that makes financial videos. She's a Canadian girly. She's Calgary based as well. It's an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful budget tracker. If you're in the market for one, I would highly recommend checking it out. But anyway, I transfer all of my expense categories in there so I can get like a summary of like where I'm over budget in other areas. And I also can track my goals in there. I've actually already up and I put everything in the November tab, but that's an easy fix. That's a copy paste fix for later on. Looking at my expenses, all my categories look very over budget, but in my defense, I also made a lot more than I was expecting to make. So I feel like that be lifestyle inflation, folks. For groceries, I had budgeted $750 and we actually spent my half of the groceries because I split everything with Joel. I spent $853.15. But in my defense, we did actually host people over. So I spent some money on food for a party. I'm actually kind of disgusted by how much we spent on groceries. I think part of the reason this number is also so high is because we've just been lazy with groceries in general. Like we've been going to the Safeway that's near our house. It is a little bit more expensive, I would say, than Real Canadian Superstore. So I think we're just going to make more of an effort to trek out to the Real Canadian Superstore. It's going to help keep that cost a little bit lower. I don't think we'll ever be low with our grocery budget. It is what it is. It is what it is. I honestly am okay with paying more for groceries as long as I never ever have to set foot in a Costco. Controversial opinion, I know, but that is just my worst nightmare. Transportation and parking, I don't know why I even bother putting money in the budget for that. I spent $0 again. Excellent. Eating out, I had budgeted $150 and I thought I was like way off track for this, but I spent only $180.95. So we're a little bit over budget there. But like I said, I feel like I was better with the intentionality and I'm okay. I'm okay with that number. November, I think I'm still going to set it at $150. Not much to say about that. Clothing, I spent $156. I'd only budgeted $100. Whatever. I am still on my commitment to not buy any new clothes. These were all clothes from consignment stores. I bought a leather skirt. I don't know who I think I am now, but edgy. Alcohol. I hadn't budgeted anything for this, and honestly, I should have because we did host a housewarming party last week. My half of the alcohol charge was $97.48 for everyone to have a darn good time. I have honestly no regrets about that. It was a wonderful party. I think everyone had fun. I think next month we'll do like a pizza party with a couple couples, and everyone brought us bottles of wine, so we have a ton of wine now. Pairs well with pizza. That's the plan. So really saving money down the line with that investment. Gifts, I budgeted $75 and then my stepmom didn't want anything except for a gift card. So I spent $100 on a gift card for her. That actually, I haven't spent that yet. But in making this video, I was reminded that I need to send her that gift card. Yeah, I'm going over budget. I'm feeling generous. Why not? Household small. Spent $166.59 on what I couldn't really tell you aside from like candles and napkins and a bunch of cool thrifted like dishware and glasses. Household big, already talked about. In total, we spent $186.50. Well, that's my half, and that was for the duvet set and the large mirror. Love it. I don't even want to talk about personal care because I got my hair dyed this month, and I feel like that's a very normal thing to do as a woman. People get it every couple months. How are they affording that? Because this month I spent $417 on personal care, and that was literally just a cut and color, clarifying shampoo to fade the color, and mousse. Got a nice little heat protectant mousse for my fine ass strands, which I have no regrets about that. But I do always have regrets about getting my hair dyed in a salon because it's always so expensive. And this is not to say that they did a bad job. They did a great job. It looked good. It was a little bit vibrant, and I tried to fade it, and clearly it worked because I feel like it's faded pretty much back to how it was before. I don't know. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. No shade or any of that. I'm just blown away at the cost of personal care as a woman. I just got to learn to do it myself. I really do. But I just don't think I have the attention to detail that's necessary in order to be good at something like that. Okay, last but not least, miscellaneous. I feel like I was doing really well in this category, and then I had forgot to cancel a domain that I had purchased like a couple years ago, and I got the bill for that. Well, specifically Joel got the bill for that because it was linked to his account, and that was like $200 right there. So I've canceled that now, and hopefully I will never have to pay that again, but that's why that's so high. I also have $165.39 of business expenses. I have made a more concerted effort to group things under my business category so that I can get tax write-off at the end of the year. And I've started grouping YouTube expenses under there because I am hoping to monetize in the future. So things like the box lighting, which is lighting my face currently, that was something I purchased this month. I thought, why not invest in my channel? It's getting darker. The lighting, the overhead lighting in the apartment is atrocious for filming. So I bought the box lights. That's, I think, the majority of that business expense. And if at some point I get to the point of monetization, I will write things like that off. That's the plan anyway. I don't know. Any accountants watching this video, can I do that? I think so. Okay, I'm just going to rapid fire my bills and subscriptions because nothing's really changed significantly. Rent is still $1,040.50. Internet, $56. Mobile, $135.08. It's slightly less than that. There was still like a bit of a remaining balance from my old phone. So I think month to month, my bill is about $110. Student loan, $697. Subscriptions, $111.38, but some of those should be shunted over to my business expenses. Insurance, $300, and that includes auto, ring, home insurance. We've bundled that all together. That brings us to a total of $2,339.96. For my variable expenses, the total is $2,625.38. which gives me a grand total of $4,650.98, and that does not include the amount I put into savings. All in all, my expenses are $6,693.88, and that includes all the money I put into savings, and that still leaves me with a balance unbudgeted of $507.14, which I'm going to roll over to the next month because my goal for November is not to work myself to the bone. I'll appreciate that extra little cash cushion. Let's reset my budget for November. So I've updated my clinic income as $4,650.98, and I've also increased my expected earnings from virtual private practice counseling. In September, I made $1,400. This month, I made almost $1,700. So I've upped virtual counseling to estimate $1,200 monthly income, only because November tends to be a slower month, I find, in private practice. Like, things slow down a bit November, December as people are getting ready for the holidays, and then they pick back up in January when people are on that resolution grind, but I'd rather underestimate my income than overestimate it. So I'm still being a little bit cautious with that. And that brings my total estimated income for November to $5,850.98. The next thing I wanted to do in my budget reset is just clean up my bills and subscriptions. I feel like I was just guessing willy-nilly because we were changing over things like our insurance. We were paying for electricity for the first time. Now I have actual numbers that I can budget with. So I've updated my bills and subscriptions to reflect what they will actually be. Rent staying the same. Utilities, which is actually electricity, I'm budgeting $50. Last month it was $43. So that could change. We could use the heat a little bit more. I think 50 is fair to keep it as is. Internet, we now know, is $30.50 a person. So I'm budgeting exactly that. Mobile, I'm all paid out. I'm all settled up. So I'm just budgeting that $110.08 for my monthly bill. Student loan, sadly not changing anytime soon. That's still $697.55. Subscriptions, I'm budgeting $112. And then insurance, $276.84. So that comes to a total of $2,317. I want to set myself a stretch goal of saving $1,500 in November. And I think that rollover will also help with that. So I've got my math here. So if my income is $5,850.98 and my fixed expenses are $2,317.47, and then I want to save $1,500, and I'm adding in the $484 that I'm rolling over from this month. Okay, that leaves $2,517.76 to budget for my variable expenses. I think we want to host another little pizza night with a couple couples in November. That'll be fun. So I am going to budget, I think, $800 for groceries. If it doesn't happen, then maybe we'll be under budget for groceries, but I'm just accounting for that right now. Transportation and parking, I'm just zeroing that out. I haven't spent anything on it since we moved downtown. Eating out, $150. I kind of want to keep it at $150. I do feel like I could still be better with that. Yeah, I'm going to leave eating out at $150. For clothing, I feel like I desperately need some sweaters. My winter wardrobe is lacking, so I want to leave room for that. I'll put $250 in, but I might take from it if we end up going over budget. Alcohol, I'm budgeting $75 because we are having that dinner party. We have a couple bottles of red wine, but I feel like we'll still want to buy like seltzers and stuff for people who don't like wine. Health. Again, $0. Not spending anything health-wise. Gifts, no gifts in November. So I'm going to put 0, but I should probably put some savings towards December gifts. Business. $25. Is that even what I feel like my business is closer to $35 a month. Household small. I feel like $75 is fair. Household big, $500. That seems like a lot. How I'm defining household big and small is small tends to be like anything under $100, and big is like furniture and usually purchases that exceed $100. Personal care. There's a couple things I want to get done this month. I know I just bitched about spending a lot, but I'm going to budget $350 for personal care in November. Miscellaneous, $150. Okay, we're coming out at $2,385. So we're just shy of that $2,517. We'll see how the month shakes out. I feel like that's a comfortable little padding for if I go over in any category. But I think we're getting closer to a realistic budget. I think that'll put me in a good position savings-wise. I feel I've actually allocated myself realistic amounts. Let me fill out the savings category because I put a high savings goal of $1,500 and I didn't really split up my savings. I just dumped it all in the emergency fund. Okay, I'm going to put another $1,000 in the emergency fund. I'm going to put $500 in our wedding fund. That's the plan. That's the plan, folks. Here are my goals for November. I feel like these are less so smart goals and more so intentions for the month. Then when we get to the new year, I feel like I'd like to set more like metrics and number-based goals. But here are my November intentions. number one, I want to take this month to recharge. Like I said, I kind of want like a pullback month where I'm just focusing a lot more on rest and recovery and giving myself permission to block my schedule so that I can have a really good work-life balance and I can feel like I'm going into the new year with good stamina. That's a very important intention for me to set in November. I have the tendency to work myself to the point of burnout. I do think I have a strong capacity to balance a lot of things, balance a high workload, but I just need to be mindful that there needs to be ebbs and flows and it can't always be like go, go, go. There has to be purposeful rest and recovery. So that is my number one intention for November. And I feel like within that, a caveat is that I want the recovery to be more purposeful and less so like mindless spending or shopping for the sake of de-stressing. Like a lot of times Joel and I will like go to a thrift store on a day off as a way to like relax. But I feel like in a way that stresses me out a little bit more and I'd like more intentionality around my rest. So that would be number one goal. Intention number two is to continue the good vibes with hosting people. We had so much fun throwing a house party here. I almost forgot what it was like to have people over. We just didn't really host much in the summer and we moved and financial things came up and it just wasn't a time where we felt like we could take that on. And just having that housewarming party reminded us how fun it is. I think I kind of want the mentality of like being stingy with myself, but being generous with others. Like just, buying really nice ingredients for our pizza party, getting nice alcohol for our guests. So that would be my second intention. My third intention, I'm saying it here, I'm saying it now. I'd like to get organized with my business expenses and I would like to seek professional counsel. Probably. Informally, probably. We have a friend who's an accountant. So that's what I mean when I say seeking professional counsel. I'm in a weird place right now where I had all these intentions of starting my own private practice. I got a sole prop. I set up a website. Like I'd done a lot of planning and setup around that. But I think for who I am as a person and my long-term goals, which I haven't really discussed with you guys, it's a better fit for me to actually counsel as part of a company and have my own business be something more creative like YouTube. But before, when I had that private practice counseling set up and my intention was to do it on my own, it was very clear what expenses could be categorized as business. Whereas I feel like when I go to do something creative like YouTube, because there's no like income currently and it's like more of a creative endeavor, I don't know where the line is. I don't know what has to be set up on the back end in order to claim expenses for YouTube as a business. So that's what I mean. I need to get organized with that because I feel like I'm kind of throwing money away or I'm wasting opportunities to like get a tax write-off and also to have a sense of eventually down the road, if I do become monetized, like where that balance is of income versus expenses for things like running a channel. So I want to get organized with that. So as I scale, I can have a sense of if I'm profitable or not. I think that would be good. It'd be good to have a sense of that. So that's where we're at now. That's my third goal. Those are my intentions for November. Let me know what your intentions are. I'm curious. What are people thinking about this time of year? It's getting colder. It's getting darker. We're kind of retreating into hibernation. What are you focusing on in November, financially, personally? That about wraps up this slightly disorganized financial reset. Hopefully when you watch it, it doesn't seem disorganized, but I'll have you know, while filming, it was probably the least organized I've ever been and very chaotic. So hopefully that did not come across. Anyway, if you enjoy videos like this, a little budget reset, some millennial finance, then I would consider subscribing to the channel. That's kind of my MO, guys. So yeah, that's all for me. Have a beautiful, blessed evening, rest of your week, rest of your month even. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.